Welcome, and thank you for joining us once again for these reflections under the title of Reading the Signs of the Times. Now, some of you have been following these reflections for quite a while, and perhaps it's the moment to ask ourselves, really, what is the purpose? It's more than just sitting and looking again for a few moments at yet another YouTube video. Well, the answer is simply in the logo that we use. The spinning globe. Our planet in constant movement, constant change. Part of the entire cosmos, the macrocosmos and the microcosmos, which is also in constant change, evolution, unfolding. And when did it all begin? It's something we call the Urknall, the Big Bang, the moment of creation. Choose whatever words you want. But we do know now enough to know that at some point, everything that we see around us now began to unfold from one source. The unfolding has gone on for more than 14 billion years as far as we can calculate things like that. And we are also part of the constant unfolding, developing, changing, moving, expanding. And we are aware that we are still unfolding, evolving, as human beings living together on this planet. Our physical evolution took some time. We changed and changed and changed until we became Homo sapiens, the species that we call humanity now. We're still learning about how that unfolding took place. We're getting some surprises. We thought we knew exactly the stages by which it happened, but constant research is giving more and more information. But we do know a great deal about our physical evolving as human beings, and then our psychological evolving of mind and emotional life, our capacity for self-reflective consciousness, thinking about ourselves, thinking. This took a lot longer to evolve, and really with this we became Homo sapiens, the humanity that we are now. And our social evolving, our way of interaction with each other, relating, understanding and responding, is continuing. And we're really here to reflect on how we are evolving socially as a human family on this planet. And we're looking particularly at certain signs as they come along that give us some indication of the direction in which this unfolding, our unfolding, is continuing. The interesting thing is that we are now able so to reflect on the choices that are ahead of us that we can, in some measure, influence the direction of our evolution, by the choices we make. Life-giving choices, those that are leading to destruction. And so we are picking up small signs from everyday life that give us some indication as to which way we are traveling, towards life or towards destruction, and being able to make a choice in one direction or another. We've done this by picking up just some event of everyday life, something that's been presented usually in the media worldwide, some eye-catching headline, and stepping back and giving ourselves time to think, what are the possible consequences of this? And that is what we're going to do today. There could be many things that you have noticed since we last had one of these reflections together. But the one I have chosen happened just quite recently. We suddenly found in the headlines that smartwatches had taken a leap forward. Smartwatches? Certainly not like this little watch that I've taken from my wrist a moment ago. This is really old-fashioned and out of date. After all this does is tell me the time. And it goes wrong. Oh no, it does tell me something else. I can turn the knob and get the date fixed, and it will change every 24 hours, but that is it. What we are told is possible now is that much of the other equipment we have, take what we use our iPads for. All that we do with our iPads, data gathering, information finding, communication, email, perhaps for Skype, and something easier to handle or smaller to handle are, our cell phone. All that we get from there. Is it possible that they could all be just in one piece of equipment that's called a watch? Well, we have to realize, and you've probably read a great deal, that this is still at the stage of exploration, but it is moving fairly rapidly. And the displays that we saw recently were certainly very attractive to many people. Perhaps your reaction depended to a certain extent on your age, like most things that are presented to us. If you're young enough, you probably have to have it. No, it's a must. I must have one, because everybody of my age, my class, all the students have one. If you have taken up some of the responsibilities for life and have a family growing up, you probably said, can I possibly afford it? How would I have the money? Or you might have got to the stage where you say, well, really, it would be very useful, it would be very helpful, it would give me a little status, but should I? Should I wait? Or you may have got to the point of sitting back and saying, now look, is it really going to be all that useful? Do I really need it? These chain of reactions take place with whatever piece of new equipment or technology comes our way. And it's worthwhile spending just a few moments to reflect on whenever you had any one of those reactions recently to something new that was being presented. I have to have it. I can't afford it. I've got to do something. Perhaps I should wait. Do I really need it? It's an interesting exercise because we make these responses very often without reflection as to why we do it. These smart watches that, promise us to do a certain amount for us, they're not new. We've heard promises before. We've had attempts before. Is this really something so new? Is it really so valuable? And going back to about 2012, when I read, and you probably did too, predictions of what is coming soon. And one of them was, yes, call it a watch, but it was more than that. And it didn't look like a watch or even a band on one's arm. It looked much more like a Band-Aid. You know, Band-Aid, I think I have one. No? A Band-Aid. Perhaps a little smaller than this. But it was going to be attached to our skin, and we could wear it all the time, at work, jogging, in the shower, lying on the beach, and it would have the capacity to give us all that we needed from information technology. All this equipment of cell phones and iPads and so on could give us. And it would be attached to us all the time. Now, in our reflection, this is really the point. When we have begun to assess how valuable this piece of equipment, new equipment, might be for me, do we also look at how much or what we could possibly lose if we use this in the future? I'll read a bit of the newsprint that came out at that time and remind you. It was announced that the tech firms, people who produce all this equipment for us and do all the research to make life simpler, faster, more efficient and more effective, communication, relationships, more efficient, effective. They had a new mantra, the repetition. All things, all people, all day. The search was for a piece of equipment that would give us everything we needed. One piece of equipment. And the race was going to be on between rival firms to produce this. And the idea that we would need all these various devices was something that we left behind, or we were going to leave behind in 2011, 4 years ago. They want, and this was the statement, these new the technology firms wanted to erase the boundaries so that they could own every waking moment. We would become totally dependent on one piece of equipment and all the apps and all the programs, the music, the DVDs, the Skype across the Atlantic, whatever, would all be focused in one piece of equipment provided by a company, to which we would then be totally bound, because everything else would go. Now, do you really want that? Do you see that as the way ahead for humanity to evolve into a better social consciousness than we have now? To greater respect for each other, for the abundant diversity of life on this planet, and among us particularly. Is it worth losing our capacity to say yes or no? I will have it, or I do not need it. I can pick it up, and I can put it down. If humanity loses, if we lose, if I lose, or you lose, the capacity to do this, and the understanding of how important it is to do this, what a great capacity of every single human being would be lost. And we would all be dependent on the Band-Aid or whatever on our arm. There are, of course, already other hazards to health with the smart watches that have been presented to us now. And no doubt this further development would have other hazards in store and other problems, some backlash that hasn't been foreseen. But this one we can foresee. This is a sign of the times. The development in technology of media communication and reading the sign, reading how it is going to affect us, or could affect us both for life or for destruction, is the most important thing we have to do. And we can only do that if we take time to sit back and read deeply into the sign. And so the whole of our series has been a practice in reading the signs of everyday life. And if you have found it worthwhile to reflect over the particular headlines that have attracted my attention, I hope you're beginning to do this too for yourself. Whether it's a television advertisement or it's the headlines in the newspaper, whatever, however it comes to you, stop and read deeply into the signs of the times, because it's the sign of the direction in which the whole human family is going, and your life and my life also.